Poor Michael Jackson, he's become a god. Michael Jackson is one of the finest young men you'll ever find. Michael Jackson is a very deeply spiritual man that most people don't understand. It ain't what you look like on the outside. It's what's going on the inside. You say Michael is strange because he finds joy being with children and with animals. But the reason he's like that is because of wounds inflicted by grown-ups who only see the value of your talent and what they can extract from you and how they can cheat you and rob you and abuse you and misuse you. Michael is tired of the world. Michael would rather be with an animal because whatever the animal is, that's what it is. It ain't deceitful. But human beings are full of deceit. So he asked the question, why you want to trip on me? Whole world going to hell and you talking about me? Why you want to trip on me? I looked at his video. I saw an animal and a human turn right into an animal. You don't know what Michael is saying. Michael don't talk. So you got to learn how to read Michael. Michael is a spiritual genius. I see so much God in that man. And I know that persecution and what he's going through, if it don't destroy him, it'll make him an even greater individual. Some of Michael's family is here, and I want his father and his brother to know that I was in the West Indies, and when this stuff broke, and at a certain point the tears came down my eyes, and I told my son, I said, try and get in touch with Michael. I said, because I hope he's not considering suicide. To get out of a world as low down and rotten as this one is. Michael is a sensitive person. And I just don't believe that they would have handled no other white artist big as Michael like they handled our brother. Michael has become a god. Michael is the quintessential performer. And whether you like Michael or not, there's something to that man that is deeply spiritual that touches the souls of people. And the enemy does not want Michael to ever become political and turn his feelings into words and words into song and songs that will start a cultural revolution. So they want to destroy Michael now, like they want to destroy Stevie and you, my brother. Me, don't you black or white me. That's what Michael was talking about. They made him go back in the studio and change those words. And Michael was labeled anti-Semitic. Tell me what has become of my life. I have a wife and 2 children who love me. I am the victim of police brutality. Now I'm tired of being the victim of hate. You're raping me of my pride. Oh, for God's sake, I look to heaven to fulfill its prophecy and set me free. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Trepidation, speculation, everybody allegation. In the suite, on the news, everybody dog food. Black man, black male, throw your brother in jail. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Tell me, what has become of my rights? Am I invisible because you ignore me? Your proclamation promised me liberty. Now I'm tired of being the victim of shame. They're throwing me in a class with a bad name. I can't believe this is the land from which I came. You know, I really do hate to say it. The government don't want to see. But if Roosevelt was living, he wouldn't let this be. No, no. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, speculation, everybody litigation. Beat me, bash me, but you can never trash me. Hit me, kick me, you can never get me. All I want to say is, they don't really care. What you don't know is when one of us becomes famous, they watch us closely. Do you remember Different Strokes? Do you remember the little brother called Todd Bridges? I was in the home of Jim Brown, probably one of the greatest football players that ever played the game, and Todd Bridges was there. And he came to me and said, Farrakhan, I was going to change my name to an African name. And the FBI came and visited me and warned me that I should not do that or else. Why is his desire to change his name a problem for the U.S. government? It's because all of you wear the names of your former slave masters. And as long as you are in the name of your former slave master, you are not yet free. You got to get out of his name and come into the name of God, which you rightly deserve. Michael then was on his way to the cross because Michael had touched the hearts of people all over the world. Michael touched the hearts of every race, every culture, every ethnic group, every tribe. There was nothing that Michael hadn't touched, and now he's becoming dangerous. Dangerous. Didn't he write some song called Dangerous? He was telling us he had become dangerous. Dangerous to who? to those who want to keep you ignorant of who you are so they can continue to use us as tools and slaves. It's not about hate. This is not about anti-Semitism. It's about showing who is anti-black. I didn't know what was in Michael's heart, but I told Michael, don't be angry with your father, because even though you didn't have pillow fights and sleepovers, those that had pillow fights and sleepovers and had a childhood, they're the ones that's buying your records, and they're the ones that's coming to see you. You had a purpose for your life. You didn't know that Michael was a lecturer. I was surprised when I read Michael's lecture at Oxford University in England. See, Michael was much more than a man of song and dance. Michael was a heart that beat for the love of humanity. This is part of Michael Jackson's speech at Oxford. It's titled, "Heal the Kids." It gives a view of MJ's philosophy and worldview better than any other source. And this is what Michael said at Oxford. Love, ladies and gentlemen, is the human family's most precious legacy, its richest bequest, its golden inheritance. And it is a treasure that is handed down from one generation to another. Previous ages may not have had the wealth we enjoy. Their houses may have lacked electricity, and they squeezed their many children into small homes without central heating. But those homes had no darkness, nor were they cold. They were lit bright with the glow of love, and they were warmed snugly by the very heat of the human heart. Parents, undistracted by the lust for luxury and status, accorded their children primacy in their lives. On the world condition, this is what brother said. Friends, let me paint a picture for you. Here's a typical day in America. 6 youths under the age of 20 will commit suicide. 12 children under the age of 20 will die from firearms. Remember, this is a day, not a year. 399 children will be arrested for drug abuse. 1,352 babies will be born to teen mothers. This is happening in one of the richest, most developed countries in the history of the world. Here is Michael's goals. He said, our goal is simple: to recreate the parent-child bond, to renew its promise and light the way forward for all the beautiful children who are destined one day to walk this earth. They say that parenting is like dancing. You take one step, your child takes another. I have discovered that getting parents to rededicate themselves to their children is only half the story. The other half is preparing the children to re-accept their parents. Then he started talking about his father. He said he was talking about his father's father. He showed very little affection toward his family and raised my father and his siblings with an iron fist. Who could have imagined what it was like to grow up a poor black man in the South, robbed of dignity, bereft of hope, struggling to become a man in a world that saw my father as subordinate? I was the first black artist to be played on MTV, and I remember how big a deal it was even then, and that was in the 80s. My father moved to Indiana and had a large family of his own, working long hours in the steel mills, work that kills the lungs and humbles the spirit, all to support his family. Is it any wonder that he found it difficult to expose his feelings? Is it any mystery that he hardened his heart, that he raised the emotional ramparts? And most of all, is it any wonder why he pushed his sons so hard to succeed as performers so that they could be saved from what he knew to be a life of indignity and poverty? I have begun to see that even my father's harshness was a kind of love, an imperfect love, be sure, but it was love nonetheless. He pushed me because he loved me, because he wanted no man to ever look down on his offspring. And now, with time, rather than bitterness, I feel blessing. In the place of anger, I have found absolution. And in the place of revenge, I have found reconciliation. And my initial fury has slowly given way to forgiveness. And that's what I'm asking all of us to do tonight. Live up to the 5th of the 10 Commandments. Honor your parents by not judging them. Give them the benefit of the doubt. That is why I want to forgive my father and to stop judging him. I want to forgive my father because I want a father, and this is the only one that I've got. I want the weight of my past lifted from my shoulders, and I want to be free to step into a new relationship with my father for the rest of my life, unhindered by the goblins of the past. In a world filled with hate, we must still dare to hope. In a world filled with anger, we must still dare to comfort. In a world filled with despair, we must still dare to dream. And in a world filled with distrust, we must still dare to believe. Michael Jackson. I'm almost finished. Can you be patient with me a little bit? I love this brother. And I feel a deep sense of personal loss. We had a quiet relationship. And he would call me on New Year's Day to wish me well and send me big bouquet of fruit in a huge bowl. And when we would close, I would say, I love you, Michael. He said, I love you more. And Michael wanted to fight the powers that were controlling him and trying to steal his legacy. Michael was a wise young man. When he bought for $35 million, I think it was, the master recordings of his own music and half of a 750,000 song catalog that includes music by the Beatles, Elvis Presley, Bob Dylan, the Staple Singers, Neil Diamond, and the Jonas Brothers. That means anytime they play any of those songs, he gets paid. That catalog that he had is worth more than $1 billion. And naturally, see, what you don't understand about the enemy, when they fear you, the first thing they must do is destroy your reputation, then destroy your wealth. And if you're still alive, we can have him then. Because he's no more, has no more money, he's a broken man, you can have him now. Look, Michael owned Little Richard's catalog. And according to our great brother, Dick Gregory, he said when Michael brought the rights to Little Richard, the architect of rock and roll, Michael returned to Little Richard the rights to his music free of charge. Now, I would like to tell you about Michael Jackson's money. See, knowing something about him just before he died, his final concert tour called This Is It. If you watch the short video of his talk and then what he was singing, Michael said, this is it. This was to be the end for him as a performer. Michael has written over 200 songs that have never been recorded. Michael, I watched him, you know, and the wise of the enemy, they watch him too. Michael said, this is it. I don't know what that means to you. But I know what it meant to me. And the enemy watching knows what it meant too. When he raised his fist, see, what you don't know, Michael is a warrior. And when he raised his fist, he was telling all the would-bes and the wannabe, my crown is like Michael Jordan's jersey. Nobody can wear my number when I finish. You hang it up. You put my crown on the shelf because it's the unreachable star It's the unattainable goal, but I'm going to show the world that I am Michael Jackson, and I'm fighting for my legacy. This is it. And then when you watched him on the stage, see, he's in a militant. Looked like an FOI, you know. They didn't tell you what he was singing, but in the end, if you looked at his mouth, he said, they don't care about us. Now, Peter King, the congressman from New York, just listen to what this criminal said. He's a circumcised heathen. You know, Farrakhan is ready to throw down. I don't give a damn what the world think about me. All you weak, spineless Negroes, go hide in the back, because it's time now. The Messiah's voice must be heard. Now, here's Representative King. Hang in there with me. He said, for the last, I don't know how long now, this lowlife, Michael Jackson, his name, his face, his picture is all over the newspapers, television, radio. All we hear about is Michael Jackson. Upset. He said, let's knock out the psychobabble. This guy was a pervert. He was a child molester. He was a pedophile. And to be giving this much coverage to him day in and day out, what does it say about us and our country? We don't need Michael Jackson. Yeah, he died. He had some talent. Fine. People are dying every day. Men and women are dying in Afghanistan. Let's give them the credit they deserve. Yeah, and they're there on the basis of some BS by your former president and the government of the United States. They are there to die for nothing. They can't win. I said to President Obama, this is now your war. And the best thing you can do is find the quickest way to get out of there, because there will be no victory in Afghanistan for America or her allies. Now, was Michael Jackson a pervert? Was Michael Jackson a pedophile? Let's see. Let's see. Now, it doesn't seem to make any difference if you win in court. Now, the only time that he went to court on these charges, he won. It's like poor OJ. He won in court. He didn't kill nobody. We're going to try him again. Well, he didn't kill, but he was responsible. I'm going to put that right back on white folks. The present generation of white people are not guilty of the crimes that were committed against black people. But you have benefited from the crimes of those that went before you that put you in your privileged position. So now you have to accept responsibility to help clean up the mess that your fathers made, or else. I'm not talking for me. I'm speaking the will of the God that has me before you. Now, it was mentioned that the former accuser of Michael in 1993, Jordan Chandler, had retracted his claim and now says that his father pushed him to do it. Well, I had my research people check it out, because I don't want to be guilty of any false statement. And according to Snopes.com, a website that tracks down the veracity of internet reports and rumors, this report is not true. However, there is a transcript of a phone call made by the boy's father that makes the boy's claims highly suspicious. On July 2nd, 1993, in a private telephone conversation, Evan Chandler was tape recorded as saying, quote, "There was no reason why he, Jackson, had to stop calling me. I picked the nastiest SOB I could find." Evan Chandler's lawyer, Barry Rothman. All he wants to do is get this out in the public as fast as he can, as big as he can, and humiliate as many people as he can. He's nasty, he's mean, he's smart, and he's hungry for publicity. Everything's going to a certain plan that isn't just mine. Once I make that phone call, this guy is going to destroy everybody in sight in any devious, nasty, cruel way that he can do it. I've given him full authority to do that. Jackson is an evil guy. He's worse than that, and I have the evidence to prove it. If I go through with this, I win big time. There's no way I lose. I will get everything I want, and they will be destroyed forever. Michael's career will be over. And in the same conversation, when asked how this would affect his son, Mr. Chandler replied, quote, "That's irrelevant to me. It will be a massacre if I don't get what I want." It's going to be bigger than all of us put together. This man Jackson is going to be humiliated beyond belief. He will not sell one more record. The recorded conversation was a critical aspect of Jackson's defense against the upcoming allegation made against him. He and his supporters argue that he was the victim of a jealous father whose only goal was to extort money from the singer. Now, what you gonna do to Michael? You're gonna strip him. You're gonna destroy him. You're gonna make sure that he'll never sell another record. You're gonna destroy his career. This isn't just me, the father, talking. It's a conspiracy. This is the crucifixion. You saw Michael's color going from black to white. That's the outside journey. But the inside journey, Michael was going from white to black. Now watch. Michael started helping Africa. He met with Nelson Mandela. He gave lots of money to African charities. He wanted to build on the African continent. Danger, danger. Michael supported 39 charities, donated millions of dollars to important causes through his foundation. Now, whether you know it or not, these are his achievements. The Millennium issue of the Guinness Book of Records names Michael as the pop star who supports the most charity organizations. It is estimated that Michael has given over $300 million to charity. His many charitable acts includes multiple visits to hospitals, orphanages, terminally ill children. He paid for funerals of underprivileged and victims of disasters, brought thousands to visit Neverland free, paying for a liver transplant. He gave to childhood diabetes research, mother-to-child HIV transmission in Africa, drug abuse, immunization, leukemia, cancer research, hemophilia, AIDS, juvenile diabetes. This man donated to the Michael Jackson Burn Center, the Heal the World Foundation, and I could name all of the groups that Michael supported. And when we were doing the Million Man March, I met with Brother Michael in a hotel suite in New York, and I said, Brother Michael, it's one thing if 1 million women and girls cheer for you, but when 1 million men cheer you, that's significant. I said, Michael, what I would like for you to do is to come to the Million Man March and sing the song, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Michael was all for it, but after we left, somebody persuaded him differently. but Michael gave $100,000 to the Million Man March. Michael Jackson, in his fight against the record companies, I met with him in Florida, and he and I had a private dinner, and I told him that I was going to the National Press Club and that I was going to talk to the world about the neoconservatives, most of whom are Zionists, and their program for a new American century, where they were advising the government, and Bush in particular, and the policies that were made during the Bush administration were all out of this project for a new American century by the neoconservatives. I said, Michael, I'm going to step out and call attention to this to the world. He said, you would do that, Minister? I said, yes. I said, I'm doing it because I want you to see that if you stand up in the name of God, you will be the winner. I want you to see that when I step up and call them out, I'll be around. And I'm around. And I'm around. And I'm alive. And I'm getting stronger by the day. God has kept me alive because there's more work for me to do. I won't tell you the rest, but I got a call, I think 7 days before he passed away. It was from a lawyer whose name I won't call, who said, Farrakhan, please get in touch with Michael. He's in serious trouble. I said, what do you mean? He said, Michael agreed to do 10 concerts. Now they've booked him for 50. And we're afraid that he won't be able to fulfill the obligation, and he will be sued, and this will be a way for them to take his legacy, the catalog that he owns. I said, well, what do you want me to do? He hasn't called me. He said, but there are people close to him that are followers. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, well, give me a few days, let me think about it. I went to Africa, and the first day that I arrived in Africa, we were sitting at the table having dinner, and a text message came to Rock Newman that Michael had had
cardiac arrest. I hit the table and I said, my brother is gone. 15 minutes later, we got another text message saying that Michael Jackson was dead. I was invited to his memorial, not to say anything. I guess it would have been too much. The same people that controlled his final concert appearances were the persons who put together the beautiful memorial that we saw. And it was a beautiful memorial for our brother. I was so proud of all of those who had anything to say, anything to play, or anything to sing. And I was very proud of our brother, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and the beautiful words that he spoke. CNN kept calling me because they knew I was there, so they wanted me to say something. But when we were to go up to speak to CNN, we had to have certain credentials and they weren't available. So I said, look, let's go. Of course, I have to tell you that I was in good company. I mean, I was surrounded by stars and stars and more stars. And my light was not dimmed in their presence. At the repast, I talked to his family and encouraged them. I believe that the best place for Michael Jackson's body, I still think he owns half of Neverland, is for a beautiful mausoleum to be built at Neverland. And all of the rides that the FOI enjoyed when we were at Neverland, while I and Michael were having long talks, the brothers were in the bumper cars. I realized, too, that most of us didn't have a childhood either. Because the brothers were really having a great time. But I think that Neverland would be a beautiful place if it were returned to the way Michael envisioned it. And people would come and pay their respect to this fallen hero. Now I shall close. I called Michael the archangel of sound, song, and dance. Because Michael's sound touched people of every race, culture, ethnicity, persuasion, religious, political, sexual orientation. Michael touched it all. I used the term Michael, the archangel, Because an angel is a person of tremendous height, lofty, not in stature, but lofty in the way he moves. Angels, they're among you, but you can't see them. I gave a 37-minute interview with CNN about Michael. Poor Don Lemon. He couldn't get the people to put it on except a few words, weak, that were not the context, you know. But I'm going to tell you what they were afraid of. Because I mentioned Michael as a messianic voice. I want you to hear this. If you notice, all human beings that are born make a universal sound. Don't care whether you're white, you're black, you're rich, you're poor, any ethnicity, tribal origin, all babies come into this world making the same sound. They cry. At the end of life, all human beings die making the same universal sound. It's only between life and death that the sound becomes confused. And it's like the Tower of Babel, because we have so many religions, so many ethnicities, so many nations, so many flags, so many tribes, so many ideologies, and we're all confused with each other. The universal sound coming in, the universal sound going out. Question: when will there be a universal sound during the time of our lives?